Which wide receivers are the top prospects in the class of 2026?
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. I broke down the top 12 receivers that I have for the class of 2026. And a quick note, this is only the receivers that are going to play on the outside. I'm going to do a separate show just on the slot receivers. So if you're one of those guys, don't worry about it. That show is still to come. It'll come in the next week to 10 days. But today, these are some of the bigger receivers, guys that'll play flanker or split in that traditional boundary spot that I want to talk about. And it's a great group again this year. A lot of big body guys that can make plays and some incredible athletes, as we will get into. But hand-eye coordination, route running, aka polish, were huge factors for me. I want to see guys that are not only just gifted, but that make plays based on accepting coaching, utilizing it, and being consistent with it. Those were very, very important for me. And then above all else, just the guys that make people miss and score. If you're somebody that can take a bubble screen and make 6 defenders miss, yeah, I'm going to take that into consideration. Absolutely. Sometimes it doesn't take a lot of technique for that. It's just God-given ability and effort, and there's nothing wrong with either one of those. So without further ado, we're going to start with number 12 and move our way closer to number 1. The first player is actually somebody that reclassed from the class of 27 to the class of 2026. Physically, he might be a top 5 guy in this group, but because he hasn't spent as much time playing, and I want to give credit to those who've been through this longer, I put him at number 12. At the end of this year, if Booby Feaster really has another great season, and I expect him to, up at DeSoto High School just outside of Dallas, then he will move up. But really, really sound football player at an early age. We knew about him in 7th, 8th grade. He's one of those kids at the 7-on-7 groups. Like, he stood out. You're like, this kid's playing against junior high kids, really? And he just annihilated people, and he should have. As soon as he got to 9th grade, he was already better than most of the juniors and seniors. And he's playing in the Dallas area at DeSoto, a program that has a bunch of guys. So we'll see what Booby does at the college level, but he's put in the time in the weight room. His route running is fantastic. And above all else, he's somebody that, quite honestly, just makes a lot of plays no matter what it takes. Blocking, running the right route, sitting down in the zone. He's advanced. As I talked about at the beginning of the show, Booby Feaster is not going to be somebody outside of this realm at all. Polish. For a guy that should be a junior in high school this fall, through his sophomore season, he's more polished than some guys that were entering the SEC as they enrolled this spring and summer. And I'm not kidding. Very, very much a guy that takes to his craft, and that's important. But 6'1", 185, 190 pounds, and just really strong. He'll play at a little over 200 pounds in college, but Booby Feaster is really good. I don't know where he's going yet, but it'll be one of the big box schools you would expect. Texas A&M, LSU, those kinds of programs are involved. We'll see where Booby goes, but a great kid and just a world of upside. On the other spectrum, a kid that should be in the class of 26 is number 11, and that is Calvin Russell out of Miami Northwestern. I could have him much higher. I could have him somewhere in the middle, but there are 2 things about him I know. He is a 6'5" guy that's twitchy. That's really unusual. And 2, he still has ways to go on polish. He needs to improve his route running. And once he does, he could be the number 1 guy on this list. Can't teach 6'5". He's a really, really good basketball player. In fact, Miami is even recruiting him in both sports. That tells you something. Obviously, he has hops. He's got long arms. He's got the right attitude. He's really competitive. When we saw him down there in the Under Armour event, like, he was dominant from rep 1. I don't think you're going to be disappointed with him if you're a college coach, even in his freshman year. And he needs to get a lot bigger and stronger. He's about 185 pounds at 6'5", really thin, but he just makes plays, even without a lot of polish. I think he's going to take a leap between now and the time he enrolls at whatever school he wants to go to. Long way to go on Calvin's recruitment. But once he does, that's just not going to be fair. You just don't see guys with that much height and length. Like, he's super long, even at the hip. Calvin Russell is a 6'5" guy, like legitimately, and he's like a spider. His legs are so long. He can get up over guys. He can avoid them in space. He can take a screen like a 5'11" kid and score. But again, still a ways to go on the polish with the route running. And once he gets that down and he's elite at it, there's really no stopping him from being a National Football League player. Number 10, Erin Gregory, a young man that I actually saw this past weekend. He is from Douglas County High School, just outside Atlanta. He was at the Rivals Atlanta camp and was tremendous. He showed out. I didn't see him drop any passes. He wanted the reps. He wanted to keep going. He wanted to fight as hard as he could to get the top award, and he wanted to beat every guy and make it look easy. Even in the drills, when they weren't even going one-on-ones, it was pretty long for the wide receivers and the DBs. He looked really good. I thought that he was a guy that had the consistency that a lot of other guys that have his kind of offer list don't. He's committed to Texas A&M, but Texas is still coming after him. Georgia's still coming after him, and LSU's coming after him, among others, from what he told me. Doesn't matter to him. He wants to compete. And that is also another factor. Anybody on this list that I've spoken with, and I've spoken to 10 of these guys before personally, they're all very competitive. They don't allow just their natural ability or what they've accomplished to stop them from being elite on that given day, whether it's a camp, 7-on-7, a practice, or a game. They want to compete. Those are the guys that make it to the NFL. And I want my rankings to be right. If you're not a super competitor, I don't care what your talent is, you're not going to be on my list. Number 9, this is a kid that I wish I'd seen. He's only one of 2 that I haven't seen live. Jordan Clay, 6'4", 200 pounds, San Antonio Madison. He is the prototypical boundary receiver. There aren't a ton of big boundary receivers. There's some big guys in general that can play flanker, but he's got the size already in the frame. He might weigh 225 in a couple of years. Very hard to find kids like that, and he can run. But most importantly, the hand-eye coordination with him made it easy to put him in the top 12. He makes catches that other guys don't. He just does. Like, the coverage will be really good. Not just, he's kind of close. Jordan did a nice job, but at least the DB's, no, I mean on him, and he'll still make a play. So he bails out his quarterback sometimes, or quote-unquote makes a 50-50 ball look pretty easy. He's got some basketball traits. I don't know if he's a hooper, but he's a guy that absolutely can jump and time it well. As for the craft that he's in, they're going to run a lot of deep routes with him at Madison. I get it. I don't know how great a route runner he is. He's pretty good, but sometimes you just got to keep it simple. Keep throwing the ball down the field to him, because even college DBs will struggle with Jordan Clay, but high school kids, he's just annihilating, and that's what he should do. Don't make it too difficult. Throw the ball down the field, and he makes plays. So really like Jordan Clay. We'll see. Jordan Clay. I don't know where he's going yet, but somebody's going to be really happy, and his list is tremendous. The next kid I do know very, very well, and that's Messiah Hampton. Played for 24K so far this year, and I don't think that's changing, so they're lucky to have him getting ready to go into OT7 for the finals. Messiah Hampton is as good a route runner as there is on this list, and that's saying something. There's one other guy I'd argue with it, maybe 2, but Hampton takes his craft so serious. I don't know too many kids that'll go out in the snow, video themselves running a route or doing a different drill and sending it to their coaches to ask how they think he did. Messiah Hampton is one of those guys. He's from upstate New York. He actually goes to James Monroe High School in Rochester. Not exactly the beacon of Division I football talent. And I'm only imagining how much he just destroys kids on a Friday night on a given day. I've seen his highlight tape, but the game film is probably even worse in a lot of ways. He is very serious about his craft. And another kid that's really strong. Talking about 6'1", 190 pounds, give or take. Athletic, smart, doesn't really worry about what happened on the last play. He's very even keel from play to play. And that's why schools like Penn State, Notre Dame, Oregon, Southern Cal, everybody's offered this kid. I don't know where he's going. He's been rumored with Penn State here lately. Miami's been after him, but really good football player. And he's somebody that I think will play early no matter what system he goes to, because he has the ability to adjust. And again, extremely polished. That is the difference between playing or just being a good athlete standing on the sideline with your helmet next to the coach. If you don't have polish, you're not going to play as a freshman in college football. Speaking of polish, this is the other guy that I would probably say is the most polished receiver I've seen this year. Jabari Mack, Destrehan High School, just outside of New Orleans. It's a famous public school in the state of Louisiana. Tremendous football player. I saw him at Under Armour, New Orleans. He was toying with DBs, and there were a lot of Power 4 guys there. He toyed with a lot of players, and when he got somebody that was definitely not on his level, he YouTubed him. And there were multiple times where it was either a double move or just a really good break, and he would just beat the guy on one simple move, but he created separation time after time after time. When you combine that with his high school film, and it was consistent like that as well, really not that hard to understand. He's one of the better players in the country at knowing his craft and getting after it. And on top of it, he is yoked. He's built like a running back. Jabari is somebody, if I didn't know who he was and I hadn't seen him play and I looked at him, I'd say either a strong safety or a running back. The way his hips are built, the way his upper legs are, but he's a flanker. This is going to be a guy that, even though he's not the biggest player, he's 5'11", 6 foot maybe, 195 pounds, 200 pounds, somewhere in that range. He's going to high point the football on people because when he puts his body up against somebody, he has an advantage. There will be extremely few DBs that are going to out-physical Jabari Mack. He is headed to LSU. Now, next guy is somebody that is a burner. He's committed as well. He's going to Clemson, and that is Nahum Burroughs out of the Bowl School in Jacksonville, Florida. Absolutely, unequivocally shot out of a cannon. Saw him at the Under Armour All-American game in January. Tremendous player, tremendous guy, and somebody that just legitimately is a track guy. Like, he could put up the football cleats and put on the track spikes and go that path if he wanted. He takes it very serious, though. Like, he's fun to be around off the field, but once he's out there, he wants to dominate the guy in front of him. Again, competition is key with my list. Burroughs showed that throughout the practices before we even got to the Under Armour game itself. Loved the way he competed, and it really didn't matter if it was on him or off in terms of like the DBs. They could come up and press if they wanted. They'd be on him, but he's so quick at the line, he would beat guys and make them look bad because he's going to stack somebody with his speed. He might be the best deep ball threat in the class of 26. And he reminds me a little bit of Ryan Williams in terms of his style. He's not quite as fast as Ryan, but it's not much different. It's very similar. Clemson's going to get a home run threat here, and he is going to play, I just about guarantee it, from day one. They're going to find a way to get him on the field at Death Valley. Now, when we come back, the top 5 wide receivers in the class of 26 here on the Portal Podcast. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and taking control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. It's easy to collaborate with your partner as well. Instead of keeping all your capital in different places, you can track your personal accounts, set goals, and more under Monarch Money without all the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Number 5 on the list is one of the most intimidating wide receiver recruits from a just walking up to him and seeing him perspective that I've ever seen. Chris Henry Jr., of course, his father, Chris Henry, played for the Cincinnati Bengals, was a tremendous football player himself. And Chris has a little bit of his father's game, but he has a different style because he is more powerful at this stage. He's 6'5" at least, and he's 200 to 205 pounds. Just not somebody you're going to be able to do much with in a short area. You have to be careful about trying to jump a route with him because he's so strong. If he gets an angle, he just puts you away with a stiff arm and he's gone. He's also fast. At his size, it doesn't look the same in terms of how he runs because his strides are really long. But Chris Henry Jr. out of Mater Dei High School, the famous program just outside of Los Angeles, is a young man that has the ability to separate even from DBs that weigh 150, 160 pounds. And again, Chris is at least 200 pounds right now. He's grown a little bit in the last year. He's about 6'4.5", 6'5" last year. I think he's pushing 6'6" now, and he's still as humble as it can be. Even coming off an injury, he's a guy that I think is going to tear it up this next season. If he's fully healthy and gets back to what I expected him to be from his sophomore year, he could finish as number one on this list at the conclusion of this year. Again, Chris is headed to the Ohio State Buckeyes, and so is his teammate in high school and future teammate, Kaden Dixon-Wyatt, 6'1", 175 pounds. Again, modern day high school, just outside of Los Angeles. Totally different player than Chris Henry Jr. Dixon-Wyatt is somebody that is really crafty, not only with route running. He's the other guy that I put in that conversation for a great route runner, but he also sets up his breaks really good. I think him and Jabari Mack probably do it the best. They kind of get guys leaning one way and they know when to break off a route, and they have fun with it. I saw him down at the Battle Miami tournament, and I was just thoroughly impressed. Each rep, he wanted to destroy the guy in front of him. Kind of like, what are you doing in front of me? I'm going to take care of business right here. He's got a big chip on his shoulder. He's one of those guys during the game or right after, he's just in the zone. He doesn't really see anybody. He's doing what he's doing. And those kind of guys tend to do pretty well on the gridiron. I think he's going to be a guy that doesn't necessarily play right away at Ohio State because they're so deep, but he'll come in and challenge. If he's on the two deep at Ohio State almost immediately, it wouldn't surprise me. I think he could play slot for him. I think he could play flanker. Doesn't really matter. He's at modern day, so you know he's going to get continued good coaching. And he's a guy, again, with that chip on the shoulder, and he's got the craftiness. He's got good route running. And he's got good speed, too. He can go deep. But most important with him, he is the intermediate nightmare. He's going to be a third down weapon for Ohio State. He will be the guy, I guarantee it, down the line like his junior, senior year, that ends up being the key for the Buckeyes on third down. He's perfect for that role. Dead spot in the zone, or if there's a one-on-one matchup, he'll find a way to get leverage or stack a guy, stem a guy to get the advantage. There's no doubt about it. Kaden Dixon-Wyatt is that guy. Number 3, Jace Matthews. In my opinion, this is an incredible list. This is definitively the best pure athlete on this list. Like, he might be the most athletic guy in the class of 26, regardless of position. Jace Matthews. He plays for Leakesville, Mississippi, Greene County. And I'd seen his film a little bit, but I actually heard about him and wanted to investigate more when Deuce Knight, the quarterback at Auburn, told me Jace is one of the most athletic kids he'd ever seen. He could take the ball through his legs when he was in 9th grade and dunk it. When you're not even old enough to drive a car and you're doing that, dunking, that's a little bit different. God gifted him on an entirely different level. I don't know what Jace's future is in terms of position, because I think he could play flanker. He could play slot. If he gets big enough, he might even be able to grow into a boundary, but he's about 190 pounds, give or take, 6'1", 6'2". In certain schemes, I guess you could do that. But I'd have a hard time not playing him in the slot quite a bit, because if teams don't get their hands on him at the line of scrimmage, that's going to be rough. He has one of the most crazy leaping abilities I've seen in a high school football player in a long time. I've only seen one Randy Moss, and I even told Jeremiah Smith this. I said, there's only one Randy. But this is the kind of kid athletically that just jumps like it's so explosive, like Randy was, that there's really nothing that DBs can do. If Jace continues on this path, he's very competitive, makes just crazy one-handed catch. That's the other thing. His hand-eye coordination might be the best on this list. Some one-handed catches, some twirling in the air one-handed catches. Like, his highlight video is insane. If he cleans up the technical side of this, he could finish this list number 1 as well. He's probably the most spectacular kid on the list. Unbelievable athlete. Don't know where he's going yet, but he's got all the traditional SEC schools after him. Jace Matthews is a dude. Cedarian Morgan, the player that I probably know the best on this list. He was about an hour from me. Goes to Benjamin Russell High School, Alexander City, Alabama. He is a freak in terms of his body composition, size, speed, hand size, just the ability, like even on a screen at his size. I go to their practices and he makes guys miss that are 40 pounds lighter than him. That's just not normal, man. And he'll do it and make it look effortless. And when he walks out onto the gridiron, as the saying goes, You don't need a roster to figure out who Cedarian Morgan is. He's 6'5", 215, and there is no body fat. Absolutely a freak. Nicest kid you'd ever meet too. Super humble, all the right things. He's the kind of guy that you root for. So Benjamin Russell is very fortunate to have them in their football program and their community. Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Ohio State. The list of schools that he has an offer from is about as wide as it can get. I think he'll end up at Bama or Auburn, but we'll see. He's going to take the visits and figure it out. So Cedarian's worried about his training right now, which he should. He just needs to clean up the little technical things, sometimes not having perfect eye discipline or whatever. But when it's game time, he's pretty dominant. Even when he's double teamed, there are times when he catches the football. He's too big for the high school level. I'm really curious to see him in an all-star setting to see if he can dominate the way I think he can. But right now at the high school level, there aren't many DBs that can compete with him. He's just too physically strong. He's really more like a tight end in terms of how his body is, but he has the speed and athleticism of a pure wide receiver. Finally, the guy that probably combines all the traits, in my opinion, the best, number one receiver in the country, that is Tristan Keys. Needs to add a little weight, but that's the easiest thing to do, especially with college strength and conditioning programs now. He is committed to the LSU Tigers, and he's from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, plays at Hattiesburg High. 6'3", 175 pounds, give or take. Incredible change of direction, despite kind of like some of the other guys I've talked about on this list, like a Calvin Russell. Long legs, but super shifty. Like he's the kind of guy that is the 5'7" slot receiver that just goes plays in, small Division I football, maybe FCS, but really elusive, but he weighs 150 pounds. Well, at 175 and 6'3", he's that guy. His catch radius is incredible, and he has the ability to run routes and set guys up and just fool them play after play with one step this direction or the other after he stems them, gets them where he wants, then he stacks them, and it's over. The speed is absolutely tremendous, that second burst. After he makes a cut and then adjusts on a double move or makes an out and up or whatever it is, he hits that second gear and he's gone. Tristan Keys has a special ability after the route is close to concluded to take that extra explosive step, probably better than even Jace, I would say, because he understands the craft just a little bit better. I think he's a better route runner at this point, and that's the difference. 6'3", 175. Once that gets up to 200 pounds, there's no telling how many highlight reels people will have on YouTube of Tristan Keys. He's a blast to be around. Watching his film is great. He's a tremendous competitor. He played at the Polynesian Bowl out on the island, then flew back overnight on a red eye to play in a tournament in South Florida the next day. That is the definition of competitor, and still goes out and does really well. Tristan Keys is a very, very special football player. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to get your latest recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I am Brian Smith, and we're going to be doing more countdowns. Like I said earlier, slot receiver. We're going to have tight end. We're going to have offensive tackle, interior offensive lineman, and then we'll move to the defensive side. And, of course, the continued recruiting breakdowns of all these players from around the country. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I'm curious to see what you folks think about some of my lists. If you got a comment, if there's somebody that you think should be invited to this kind of list or somebody I should look at for the postseason list, fire away. I have no problem with it. And final point, this receiver list was exhaustingly difficult to do. There are so many good receivers that should be considered for this. There are like 8 to 10 more guys on my list on a piece of paper, and I'm going through just watching the film. It was really hard to break it down here, but this is what I have once again. So thank you very much. We will see you again soon on the Portal Podcast.